Today we are trying something new and we are going to try to see if the brand strategy process and the brand identity process can be applied to any weird product. We're going to try something called Libs Brand Strategy. To help me, I brought in a friend and designer, Libby Connolly, who is going to embark on this adventure with me. Hi, Libby.
Hi, I'm so excited to dive into this.
Obviously, we always like to work with founders and products that are actually really effective and needed, but we thought it would be fun to try and apply Mad Libs to get some more interesting concepts and see how we would go through the brand strategy process around those products. Most people are familiar with Mad Libs in the US, but in case you're like, what is this? I asked ChatGPT to describe it in 15 words or less, and it said Mad Libs is a word game where players fill in the blanks to create funny, often nonsensical stories. So we're probably going to get a little bit of a nonsensical product, but let's see what we get. I asked some people to fill out words for us so that we could be surprised. So pulling up the submissions, these are random. We are going to create a brand strategy for a coffee pods for preschoolers aged 3 to 4. And the founder used to work for Yahoo, but also has a past as a flight attendant.
Oh my God.
Just as a note, we're not going to name the product because neither of us are experts with that, and name really depends on a lot of the brand strategy to begin with. So we'll just call them the coffee pods. Libby, why do you think, if we're thinking about mission, why this founder would want to create coffee pods for preschoolers?
I feel like it would come back to like lifestyle. So this person, to me, they're multifaceted. So they were early stage at Yahoo and a flight attendant. I'm trying to like think of the way in which these two worlds would come together to then be like, oh yeah, naturally I have to make coffee pods for children.
Yeah. Maybe it's that like the world is so high pressure earlier and earlier for children, right? They're in all these activities. I know my nieces and nephew, like they start sports really early. Maybe it has something to do with competitive preschoolers in New York needing to fit in more activities and have more caffeine.
Yeah, I see that being reality. I mean, if this is like 2050, this product actually might exist, right? I feel like with the trajectory on which the competitive edge is getting younger and younger.
So the mission, let's say the mission is around helping kids get an even more competitive start from the beginning of their lives. Well, not the beginning, preschool on. Okay, I like it. I mean, I don't like it. I think it's messed up, but I like it for this product. Next in the process, I would look at the brand philosophies. What does this company believe? What do they stand for? I would say one right off the bat is that any preschooler should be able to accomplish everything they want a day and have the energy to accomplish what they want.
Like dream big. I feel like that's one of their big compasses. It's like dream big so you can do everything.
Definitely. I feel like your kids are not supposed to have caffeine. So maybe it's something around like science always evolving and cutting edge of what caffeine children can have.
What if there is like a new discovery yet to come to fruition, like here, present day, that we actually start to realize all the benefits of coffee and like almost a coffee extraction? Maybe it's caffeine free. Maybe it's not like the traditional coffee pod that we think of that we use every single morning and say our Keurig. Maybe it's almost like this supplement for younger, like developing children.
Yeah, kind of like with the whole CBD trend where like they were able to take the CBD out of weed and then make a bunch of products for that. It's like they're taking something out of the coffee that helps you be productive and focused out maybe the dangerous side effects.
Without the anxiety, without like the edge.
Maybe as a flight attendant, they saw that your body, something to do with going through the time zones and lack of sleep. And so preschoolers, they have erratic sleep because they take naps. So something about how we all need some help to get through our different energy levels. And they saw that as a flight attendant.
On the riffing on naps, like what if this is something you take immediately after your nap? I mean, I would imagine as a flight attendant, You interact with a lot of kids, a lot of families. What kind of stress are they seeing parents be put under because their kids either aren't sleeping through the flight or they wake up halfway through the flight? I feel like there's got to be something there that's
Yeah,
like
maybe the brand philosophy would be like, we can better help parents manage their children's energy ups and
energy
downs
levels.
and erratic
Yeah,
sleep schedules or something.
I like that.
I think those are pretty good. This leads into what we would then look at, which is like, what's the value proposition? What problem are they solving? So I guess we could think, if we're thinking about like who we're really targeting with this, it'd probably be sort of like big city competitive working parents who are like higher
Mm-hmm.
income,
Mm-hmm.
trying to help their preschoolers make the elite preschools. I was just watching Real Housewives of New York, and they have like 2-year-olds, and she was talking about how they were applying for like these elite preschools, and it was super important.
That is our target audience. I'm trying to think too. Like I bet they take 3 to 4 trips a year, or maybe they live kind of like two separate. Maybe they live abroad half a year, so they're traveling a lot. Their sleep schedule is probably really erratic. Their parents are pushing them to strive for more, achieve more. So there
Mm-hmm.
is this like inherent pressure and the stress of traveling back and forth, maybe relocating, not having I guess what most of us would consider like a normal experience of just kind of having a home base,
Mm-hmm.
like a standard kind of preschool, whenever in our like local community. This could be a very unique childhood experience, I
Yeah, they
imagine.
don't have like a regular day-to-day routine. They may
Yeah.
be jet setting or going off and
Yeah.
doing who knows what. Yeah. If you think about like the real internal problem, it's like there's a lot of pressure, this pressure to perform and to have your kids do even better than you did. But when you're already at that elite level, it's harder to keep up with, even above that.
This is turning like kind of dark.
It is.
Like,
It is. It really is.
I'm trying to find ways. I'm like, yeah, but like a children's brand, like that could be so fun. So like, how do we make that approachable and maybe a little whimsical, but still that kind of like dream big, almost like biohacking combo?
Yeah, I know. I don't love the biohacking aspect of it.
I don't know. Does it make sense?
I think it does when you think about like, yeah, extracting the good sides of it. They say like every other year, it's too much coffee is bad for you. Actually, coffee is good for you. So
Yeah.
if it was just like the healthy elements, I do think if we play up more of the sleep regulation, that balanced with the high performing, because if you go too much high performing, you're kind of like pushing.
The vicious cycle.
Yeah,
Yeah. And they're kids. We're kids. We want to keep kids kids.
yeah.
But let them dream big.
I love it. I will say I didn't drink coffee barely at all until my mid 20s, but when I was a kid, like when I was like 5, I liked to drink coffee with mostly milk. I don't know,
Mhm.
3/4 milk. So I don't know, maybe kids would like it. And it's better than, oh, you know what's good is it's probably better than the sugary Starbucks drinks.
Yeah, I like this angle. Almost an alternative to those really sweet, sugary beverages that all 3 to 4 year olds inherently crave and want.
Hmm.
Parents are reluctant to give to them because they're not good for them. I'm trying to think of how we make the taste, is like, would it taste like coffee? Because do kids necessarily like the taste of coffee?
Oh,
I
that's
feel like we
true. Maybe
actually
it's like
notice.
more like, those coffee pods that are more like caramel flavored. But I do like
We
going more that angle, helping regulate the energy and without the
Yeah,
sugar highs and
yeah.
lows. Maybe we should lean into that more than the high pressure because that one's a
I
bit
think
dark.
so. I think so. I think Dream Big can still be kind of like a brand value,
Hmm.
and in one small way, this product could help with that. Regulating the sleep schedule. I mean, as we know, I feel like sleep is like such a huge component in just overall health and well-being of people.
Okay, so if we're going back to the value proposition, if it's for parents who, I still think we can still go after the high performing parents.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do like the idea of they're traveling around a lot. The kids are going through different time zones and routines. This is helping them find a more even energy without all the sugar highs
Hmm.
and adjusting to the time zones, adjusting to the new schedule with more focus and without all the, I don't know, the ups and
Just
downs.
added stress. Yeah, added stress of like not having consistent routine,
Yeah.
I'd say. this is like a high performing, more probably higher income family. Maybe they also have siblings who are athletes or who are like performers. And so they're going with them on these trips or on tour with them or to these games, all over the world. Just like spitballing like what this life would look like.
Definitely. Even in my Midwest upbringing, I was the youngest, so I was always going to my sister's volleyball and basketball games, and sometimes they were all-day tournaments if they were like travel ball. If you had like a younger kid, maybe it would help them travel better to that stuff.
This is a very niche product, I think. Actually, the more we talk it through, I'm like, this could be something.
Basically, the problem solving is like less stress for the family, less stress for the kid, better like focus and feel like they can take on the day. Going to the dream big. Okay, so this is an interesting one, is thinking about category positioning, because I feel like maybe we wouldn't want to call it coffee pods because people would be like, coffee, that's for adults. I feel like we could call it something else. If we're thinking of like what the capabilities are, basically what we were talking about with the value proposition, more regulated energy, focus, better sleep. Yeah, it would almost be like a supplement maybe.
Yeah, that's my thought. And it's just in the form of a pod. Because, okay, also considering, preschoolers age 3 to 4, taking pills, forget about it. Like having them take any sort of like medication, forget about it. That kids don't want to do that. That's a very challenging thing. So a coffee pod, air quotes, a coffee pod, it feels like a nice alternative to be able to seamlessly kind of blend into your daily routine.
And if it was like a supplement in the form of like a tasty drink, kids always want to do what their parents are doing, right? They want to repeat the behavior, and they probably see their parents making this yummy coffee. And so they could make the coffee in the Keurig or an espresso, but it would be like whatever this little coffee pod drink is.
Yes. And it's like sparkly or sprinkly or something more appealing to a 3 to 4-year-old versus a black coffee. Kids don't want that.
No. So now that we kind of have this idea of the supplemental drink that's in the form of a coffee pod, let's talk about visual and verbal identities. So Libby, graphics and visuals are your wheelhouse. What are you thinking?
This immediately makes me think of this brand All Kinds. I just think their brand is so strong for the angle of kids. So I know we're talking about coffee pods, but this is like through the lens of like body cream, like shower, like body wash, such a different product. They're doing it like through the lens of food, which is so interesting to me, like whipped shower foam. So it's like it feels like whipped cream, which like, yeah, as a kid, I would love whipped cream.
Yeah.
Like it's very appealing in that sense. This motif is really nice. It's just so approachable in the way that they do. And it's bath and body. But like Sweet Talk, Lazy Days, this feels kind of in the world of what I imagine a pod like this could kind of look like. Their art direction and activation is just so spot on. You want to eat it, but it's for your body.
So are you thinking leaning into the bright colors? I feel like there's something about not taking it too seriously, like that route we were going down of the high pressure. Maybe we don't want to lean into this child wearing a black suit drinking espresso, but like go the opposite of that.
I feel like there's a world in which it's half playfulness and then half, I guess, like informational or educational, or like the informational portion is clearly more marketed to parents, but the kids are going to see this brand and they're going to be the ones that need to also have that emotional response of like, ooh, I want that. So there needs to be give and take in both areas. I guess why I think of this brand is that it feels like such a great example of like parents could easily feel good about buying something like this. And then the kids would be like, oh yeah, this is so fun. It makes such a routine experience very novel in that sense.
Yeah. You would want it to look enough like the coffee pods of adults that the kids are like, ooh, this is like what mom and dad drink, or this is what my parents drink. But you also wouldn't want it to get like confused if they were like in the same coffee, what is this called? If they were in the same coffee station, you wouldn't want them to actually accidentally like get the real coffee.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, can you imagine being the parent and being like, oh, what is this? Or being the kid and then getting a black coffee? No, it needs to be clear enough that they're easily distinguished, but there's a world in which they can both coexist and complement each other.
The decaf pods, they have a red dot on the bottom, and that helps a lot to tell. So you could even play around with having really bright, fun, whatever the brand colors are. Those could be the dots on
Yeah.
the bottom.
Yeah. I love how they're doing these bundles too. Like, how fun would it be if all these pods kind of had their own little reusable container, talk about sustainability, how can we make products more sustainable in small ways? So maybe there's this fun bag or kind of like a little pouch or box that all these pods live in. So it can sit nicely on your counter and you still interact with it every day, but it doesn't necessarily scream like, K-cups look a very certain way.
Yeah, it almost makes me
Nice.
think it could be like an alternative to like the cookie jar or something.
Again, that sweetness, the kind of like appealing. Like when you walk by a cookie jar, you're like, oh, I want one. But this would be obviously a better alternative to a cookie.
And that part of that ritual, right? I mean, I'm totally hooked on coffee. So I love waking up and being like, yes, I get to make coffee. So something that would bring that joy to kids wanting to have their coffee pod,
Yeah.
nap or whatever it is.
Post nap first thing in the morning. It's like such an exciting moment too, especially first thing in the morning. I could see this actually being a really great way to incentivize like more family time or more structured family time, especially for those busy families who maybe they can't all have a breakfast together every morning because they're off doing something or have to be somewhere. So this could be a nice way to almost bring a bit of normalcy to those really high achieving, high profile people that have just like really busy lives.
I know I do love like having the ritual of like having a coffee with someone, like thinking about like the parent with their coffee and the kid with their little coffee supplement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean, neither of us are parents, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of if my sisters ever told me this, but they have to get them to preschool. And I wonder if it would help with the ritual of, oh, while you're in the car on the walk to preschool, you get to have your little drink. I don't
It's like
know.
a treat to start the day. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I respond well to treats, so I feel like, most little people would as well. It's like it's something to look forward to, or can also incentivize like, all right, if you get ready in time and we all can get in the car easily without a fuss, then you can have your coffee pod.
I still can't tell if this is a good product or not.
I know. We're still just trying to find ways in which this product really helps people.
What are your thoughts on using, because like brown is so associated with coffee. Do you think you use brown or no?
I think you still could in really intentional ways. Like I think of brown, if you wanted to do the more sustainable angle too, like, brown paper easily connotes like, oh, it's a natural product or like a handmade product or more rustic, maybe safer, better for you. That's where you could use brown and then you could accent. Brown is such a weird color. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to think of brands that use brown really well.
It got really popular like 2 years ago in fashion,
Yeah.
but I feel like
Yeah.
it still didn't get picked up that much in brands. I wonder what it means on like the color, like the emotions.
Ooh, brown. Oh, Hershey's.
Oh, true.
Hershey's does it well. Yeah, natural, stable, friendly, and comfortable. The stable element feels it's time for this.
That could be good because we were talking about the regulating the emotions and the energy level. So maybe it's like a nice accent to like the usual bright kids colors.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a brand I've seen recently that sees brown. I mean, I guess talk about white space. There are not many brands like really utilizing brown. So that could be a really interesting territory to explore.
Especially probably not like kids brands besides chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think with a verbal identity and personality, this balance with that. I always like to think of a personality and then get the characteristics from there. If it'd be fun to play around with. I feel like I'm like leaning into the high pressure thing again. But you know how you meet those kids that are a bit precocious and really smart and funny, even though they're like a kid? It'd be fun to play around with something like that. Like, I don't know, living in a city in Sao Paulo, like the kids that you get in the elevator with, they're always so talkative and they just start talking to you. It'd be fun to play around with that as like the brand personality, like this kind of like precocious kid.
Like kids as adults.
Yeah. And you could play
Essentially-
around with like, I don't know, illustrations or something, right?
Yeah, like little adults. Oh, I kind of love that.
Actually, my sister just sent me the other day a photo of my niece and nephew where they were dressing up like old people. Like kids acting as like, I don't know, these like harried, like the people who are typically like drinking a lot of coffee, right?
Kids working at like Fortune 500 companies and what that persona would look like, or like
Yeah.
kids working.
Getting away from the high pressure thing, but if we can somehow make a brand ideal around like they have more focus and better energy levels so that they have like more time to then be kids or something. I don't know.
Ooh,
It
I like
may
that.
need some work.
Yeah. No, I feel that's a good angle. Time is getting more and more scarce.
Yeah.
So this product would almost like live in the background of people's lives. And yeah, and then kind of like really put forward the end result, the benefits of having more time to be yourself. That's the real seller.
So visual and verbal identity, it's like bright colors with this
Yeah.
brown accent, which would be fun to explore. Maybe this idea of the brand being this precocious little kid, and then we could play around with a bunch of stuff with like kids as adults. I think that's really fun.
Kids as adults, but like in their free time.
Mm.
Or I mean, I love how kids, you know, like their imaginations are just always running wild. So it'd be really fun to like concept what a campaign would look like. Kids' free time as adults, or like, you know, acting like adults, but they're still their same imaginative selves.
And I think it's fun because kids, like what we were saying earlier, kids always want to mirror what adults are doing. And you like to
Mm-hmm.
play school, or we used to play toll booth operator. But at the same time, it would like if the parents are the ones buying this, it would you could there's like a lot of room for like some humor and fun for that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Something that immediately comes to mind is like kids building rocket ships, or like is I thought a lot of like imagery around that, and like you just like the imaginative. Oh yeah, like I'm gonna build something. That feels like a perfect example.
With like a lot of creativity and imagination. Next thing that we would look at is what is like this founder, okay, they worked at Yahoo and as a flight attendant. If we were talking about why they started this, wasn't there different verticals in Yahoo? Wasn't there Yahoo Parents or something? I
Yeah.
remember Yahoo Travel. There were like all these verticals. So maybe this person worked in like Yahoo Parenting or Parents, and so
Yeah.
they thought a lot about like trends and news and everything going on with childcare and parenting. Maybe they were a flight attendant when they were young, and as you
Mm,
said, they had the experience going across time zones and managing their own. I feel like they work really weird hours, and they saw lots of parents on the planes with their preschool age children, and then they went to work for Yahoo Parenting.
yeah.
And now they must have an interest in like food science or supplements somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow they got the food science in there. Or
Yeah.
they're married to a food scientist, you know,
Yeah.
or that's their partner or something. This could be a joint venture. Maybe it's not just one. Maybe they're the kind of CEO, right?
Yeah.
Or like CEO. Maybe there's a partnership there.
Well, they would definitely probably need to have some sort of like food scientist or expert on their advisory board at the very least, I would hope. Through all of this experience, that's when they decided that there has to be a better way for parents and kids in busy lifestyles to get some focus and manage their energy. And with new advances in coffee extraction, they're able to make this supplementary drink that comes in the form of a coffee pod for preschoolers. If we were going to like start marketing this, what channels do we think that they should explore in the beginning?
I feel like you mentioned TikTok. That to me feels like a pretty prominent channel. I think of dance videos and like somehow having product placement with this,
Uh-huh.
like a fun dance video. Or I love those videos of people trying the product and just having it in their day to day. There could be families, influencers, or whatever, like user generated content of them using the product in the morning. I could totally see that being a thing.
I was thinking also maybe they would want to do stuff with SEO, more science-based articles about the actual health, because that's probably like a big thing to overcome. And along with that, maybe press.
I would click into it because it's just like such a at first glance feels like such a contradictory statement. But if this was a really sustainable and health forward product, you know, you'd reach further and be like, oh, actually, I could see how this could be really beneficial for me and my family.
Depending on how big the stigma would be or how revolutionary the science would be, they would maybe need to invest in some sort of research, or like a lot of companies will do that to get research out there that actually this thing is healthy, which then you could use in press.
I wonder if they should, you know, think about going on like Shark Tank. I feel like that could also be like a great, just like publicity. And I'm sure they'll need funding because that would be quite a, I feel like quite a lift in terms of like, okay, how are we getting product out? I would imagine scaling that would be challenging
Mm-hmm.
just in terms of production. So I feel like Shark Tank could be a nice opportunity for them to like
Yeah.
get the publicity, even if they got a no, even if investors were like, "You're crazy, what is this?" Like it's still good press. Bad press is still good press.
There could be something fun too with, I don't know, where they somehow partner with artists to make cool looking pods or something.
What if they did like I don't know if this could be like a submission based, but like what if like the kids designed the pod and then it goes back to the whole like creativity, imagination, innovation kind of thing. Oh, but maybe that's just part of the brand identity. Like
Mm-hmm.
bringing actual children's illustrations in could be really fun.
That would be really fun. Well, Libby, we did it. We made a brand for coffee pods for preschoolers aged 3 to 4 with a founder at Yahoo that was also a flight attendant.
Wow. I'll be really like surprised and delighted if this person exists and this product exists one day. 'Cause we've got it figured out for them.
Yeah, I think they need to figure out some like science first, but yeah, call us. We'll do your brand.
Yeah, give us a call. This is when we like blast the phone number like right on
Uh-huh.
big on the screen, like the flashing lights.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining me, Libby. This is so much fun.
Yeah. Oh my god, I had a blast.